morning, this is Sage and a warm welcome. You're watching Kalkine TV live from Sydney, and this is the Global Markets Roundup. Let's take a glance at how the United States and the United Kingdom markets fared. Here are the weekend market highlights from the US. The benchmark US indices closed the week on a positive note on Friday, June 25th, as the stock saw the broad gains led by the financials despite some minor pushbacks from the tech segments. The S&P 500 was up 0.33% to reach 4,280.70, and the Dow Jones gained 0.69% to reach 34,433.84. The Nasdaq Composite Index shed 0.06% to reach 14,360.39, and the small cap Russell 2000 was up 0.03% to reach 2,334.40. The blue chip index rallied to another record close on Friday as financial stocks gained, and 7 of the key 11 sectors on the S&P 500 were in positive territory, while the utility segments trailed. And shares of used car retailer CarMax Inc. jumped 6.05% after robust quarterly earnings on the back of likely pandemic-induced demand for personal vehicles over the public transport. And also the stock of spaceflight company Virgin Galactic Holdings Inc. rose more than 33% after announcing that it received a clearance from the Federal Aviation Administration to fly customers to space. And the announcement comes after Virgin Galactic's rival Blue Origin LLC said earlier this month that it would fly its first crewed flight to space in July with its founder, Jeff Bezos. Electric company Panasonic Corporation said on Friday that it sold all its stakes in Tesla Inc. for US $3.6 billion, and Panasonic stock soared 3.99%, while Tesla shed 0.75% after the news. Nike Inc. stock jumped over 15% at the market close following its robust earnings report a day before, and the stock's strong performance helped boost the S&P 500 index. In the financial stocks, JP Morgan Chase & Co. gained 1.04%, Bank of America Corp rose 2.14%, and Visa Inc. went up by 0.84%. PayPal Holdings Inc. declined 1.10%, and Wells Fargo and Company declined as well, 0.83%. Shares of Netflix Inc. surged 2.03%. In the tech stocks, Nvidia Corp declined 0.81%, Microsoft Corp shed 0.35%, and ASML Holdings dropped 0.87%. Accenture plc gained 1.05%, and Sony Group Corp gained 1.64%. FedEx Corp stock fell 3.53% after it failed to provide earnings forecast for 2022 amid the hiring and cost concerns, despite the robust quarterly and annual earnings reported a day earlier. Let's take a look at the cryptocurrency stocks. Coinbase Global Inc. fell 2.63%, Bitcoin lost 7.84%, while Ethereum declined 8.45%. And on the other hand, Nokia Corp jumped 7.15%. Let's now move over to the top gainers, beginning with the top performers on the S&P 500, which included Nike Inc. up 15.53%, CarMax Inc. up 6.67%, Occidental Petroleum Corp. up 3.69%, Lincoln National Corp. up 3.63%. Over to the Nasdaq. The top performers included Iconics Corp. up a huge 64.25%, Fuway Films Holdings Co. Limited up 34.27%, Osmotica Pharmaceuticals PLC up 33.10%, Alfie Inc. up 33.07%. And over to the Dow Jones now, beginning with Nike Inc. 15.53% up, Edison International 3.11% up, American Electric Power Company Inc. up 2.32%. We have Matson Inc. also up 2.22%. They were the leaders. Now taking a look at the top losers, beginning with the top laggards on the S&P 500, which included FedEx Corp. down 3.63%, Caesars Entertainment Inc. down 2.20%, Waters Corp. down 1.97%, Synopsys Inc. down 1.76%. Over to the Nasdaq, Globus Maritime Limited was down a huge 26.53%, Oasis Midstream Partners LP down 15.61%, Fameasis Inc. down 13.55%, Biomea Fusion Inc. down 12.33%. On the Dow Jones, losers were FedEx Corp down 3.63%, Caterpillar Inc. down 1.38%, JetBlue Airways Corp down 1.09%, Delta Airlines Inc. down 1.07%, and they were the laggards. Now, hopefully that information will be put to good use in your trades today, and here comes the volume movers. The companies holding the space in the volume movers include Ford Motor Co. 39.79 million shares, Apple Inc. 25.10 million shares, Bank of America Corp. 18.11 million shares, Wells Fargo and Co. 16.47 million shares, Freeport McMoran Inc. 16.27 million shares. And now we'll take a look at the futures and commodities. The gold futures were up 0.28% to reach $1,781.70 per ounce. Silver increased 0.51% to reach $26.183 per ounce, while copper fell 0.80% to reach $4.2767. Brent oil was up 0.74% to reach $76.12 per barrel, and WTI crude rose 0.95% to $74. Let's move on now to the bond markets. The 30-year Treasury bond yields were up 2.66% to 2.151, while the 10-year bond yields gained 2.50% to 1.524. The US dollar futures index remained flat at US $91.797. And this is how the US market fared on Friday. And after this short break, we'll focus on the UK market. Please stay tuned. We'll be right back. Crypto talk by Kalkine. The crypto market has been red hot given the Bitcoin rally since the past year. And now the most famous cryptocurrency has got competitors, Dogecoin and Ethereum. If the crypto market excites you, tune in with me, Sage, to know the latest developments about the existing digital currencies and the new ones that are joining the race. I'll help you understand the opportunities and the risks the crypto market has in store for you. For all the digital currency related developments, continue watching Crypto Talk by Kalkine. Yes, a warm welcome back. You're watching the Global Market Roundup show for Kalkine TV. In this segment, we will take a glimpse on how the UK market fared on Friday. And here are the weekend market highlights from the UK. The London markets traded in a green zone after the US President Joe Biden announced a bipartisan agreement on the infrastructure deal. And according to the Confederation of British Industry, UK retail sales jumped in June 2021 as the vaccination program had boosted the consumers' confidence. The FTSE 100 listed JD Sports fashion shares grew by about 4.03% and remained the best performer on the index after Nike had reported record quarterly results in the US. And UDG Healthcare stated that it had received an improved final offer of 1,080 pence per share from US private equity firm Clayton, Dubilier and Rice. And moreover, the shares went up by approximately 1.10%. British lender Amigo Holdings shares climbed by around 7.55% after the company had secured a 3-month extension in the securitisation facility performance trigger waiver period. Next up, Gene Drive shares surged by around 18.18% after it had received a licence to import the Gene Drive SARS-CoV-2 kit into India. Now we'll take a look at the top 3 volume stocks in the FTSE 100. Vodafone Group plc, Lloyds Banking Group plc, Rolls-Royce Holdings plc. And the top 3 sectors that traded in the green were basic materials up 1.51%, energy up 1.01% and healthcare up as well 0.59%. However, the top 3 sectors in the red were consumer cyclicals down 0.47%, technology down 0.46% and utilities down 0.18%. Looking at the crude oil future prices, Brent future crude oil future price were hovering at $76.11 per barrel and WTI crude oil future price were at $73.98 per barrel. And moving on to the gold prices, gold price was quoting at US $1,777.95 per ounce, up by about 0.07% against the prior day closing. And on to the currency rates. They stood at the British pound sterling to the United States dollar cross $1.3874, and the euro to the British pound sterling was 0.8597. And that's it from the UK stock market. Stay tuned as we shift our focus to the Australian market just after this short break.
Property by Kalkine. Looking for a dream home? Well, that may sound easy, but it isn't. And from looking for a property that is the right fit for you in terms of cost and other factors, to zeroing down on the right mortgage plan, there are various aspects to consider. And for the latest lowdown on the property market, tune in on Kalkine TV with me, Sage. I will give the latest updates on the property market as well as real estate stocks to help you make the right decision. Keep watching Property with Kalkine.
Welcome back, viewers. You're watching the Global Market Roundup show with Kalkine TV this morning, and in today's segment we'll now take a look at the Australian market and how it fared on Friday. So on June the 25th, the ASX indices settled in the green amid the rally in the global indices, and recently the US Department of Labor published the Unemployment Insurance Weekly Claims Report. It was mentioned that in the week ended 19th June, the advance figure for the seasonally adjusted initial claims stood at 411,000, reflecting a fall of 7,000 from the previous week's raised level. And notably, the previous week's level was revised up, and this is from 412,000 to 418,000. Also, the ASX 200 rose by 0.30% to reach 4,100.90, and the ASX 200 rose by 0.45% to 7,308. Also, the ASX Mid-Cap 50 increased sharply by 1%. The ASX Mid-Cap 50 outperformed the rest of the indices. The ASX 200 index settled at 7,308, showing a growth of approximately 25.62% in the 1 year. And also the ASX Mid-Cap 50 index settled at 8,973.10 points, and ASX Small Ordinaries index settled at 3,403.40 points. There were the gainers and the losers too. Pilbara Minerals Limited stated that it has taken further steps towards growing the spodumene concentrate production at the 100% owned Pilgangoora project, which is located in Western Australia. In the release dated 24th June 2021, Nuix Limited informed that the search warrant was executed at the Sydney office seeking documents with regards to the investigation into the affairs of an individual. And the company understands that the warrant was not related to any allegation of wrongdoings by NXL. And thank you so much. That is all we have time for the Global Markets Roundup. However, this was closed on Friday in the US, UK and Australia, but please stay tuned for today's update to come shortly on Kalkine TV. Sage signing off.